Welcome back. Happy Taco Tuesday. I hope you had an amazing weekend. For those of you that just had kids that were out of school for a long weekend or had a week off, how
Mhm.
did you like that? I feel so sorry for parents. Make sure on the way in that you make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. There's a different show for tonight. Something came up, but we have two great topics. One is the lady in the wedding dress, and then the other is the DoorDash lady. So we do have a nice little lineup for tonight, and I hope you enjoy the show. We'll have our co-host introduce herself, and then we will get started.
Hi, everybody, and happy Taco Tuesday. And I enjoyed my week with Amir because he went to daycare. So,
That
all
always
day.
makes it better.
Look, he
Can
went to
we get
daycare
into
all
it
day.
though? Can we really talk about how it is okay in parenting to go through a period where you don't want to fuck with your kids? Like
Yeah, it's
there's
no reason
nothing
for
wrong with
if it was
that.
something. It's if it would be different if it was a reason, but for them to have all these stupid breaks, fall break, we didn't have fall breaks. What do you guys need a fall break for? So you're going to go to daycare for your fall break. The daycare got to deal with that. They charge all that high money every week. So now you got him there for 8 hours instead of 1.5 hours. Let me get my money's worth for 1 week. Yeah.
Period. Period. I don't know why they do all of these intermissions. I know that when we was in school, we got a nice summer. We got the Thursday of Thanksgiving. So we didn't even get the day before. We got Thanksgiving, and then we came back on
That Monday.
we
So we
came
got
back
Thursday
on
and
Monday.
Friday. We only got Thursday
Right.
and Friday off.
Right. And then um, for Christmas, we got
2 weeks.
like a couple of days. Yeah, we got 2 weeks because we came back after the new year. That
Mm-hmm.
is normal. Giving these kids all of these breaks and interims, that's why they can't really get on a schedule and understand that that's not real life. But far be it for me to say what actually works when we see what doesn't work, hence us having kids that do things to other people. In an update for that, we do have an update. So once again, I will put up the PO box address for um, the lady justice for Amari. It looks like there has been some justice, but if you want to send anything to the family, then you can. They are accepting things by way of PO box, so that is awesome. And then as well, there is a GoFundMe. These numbers are not updated. This is exactly what I had from when I first started. But if you go to the GoFundMe, you will see what is there. If that determines how much you'll donate or whatever. But you can go and support. So in an update, two of the children have been charged. The two oldest, not the 8-year-old. And then lo and behold, how did you feel when you found out that the 10-year-old was
Was the
a girl?
girl. I was pissed off. I was just
That
like, wait,
like hurt me so
what?
much more.
I couldn't believe it. I said, so it was a girl involved and it was the 10. Like the way they said it, I thought it was 3 boys. So when I seen it was a
Everybody.
girl, and I'm glad she got taken away first because you're a girl. Like you're a girl, so you should know how that little girl felt. But I was still pissed off, but I was happy that two of them got taken, but still that 8-year-old, buddy, you're next. I would not
You're
stop until he was somewhere behind bars. I don't care if you put him in a mental facility, something. I don't even want you on house arrest. You need to be somewhere locked up. And I would not stop until that 8-year-old was somewhere. But I was pissed off when I seen it. It made it, I was already pissed off for what happened
It
to her.
broke my heart
But to
even
find
more.
out it was a girl, I was just like, wow.
I was like, I just can't believe this. And that answered the question because remember, I kept saying, and most of us kept saying, why would three little boys want to play with a little girl? And why wasn't that alarming to anybody? But for a little girl to want to play with a little girl, then that's more sisterly, more comfortable. Then that made sense. But then that broke my heart even more because
That
I'm
she
like,
would
how
do
is it
that.
that girls hurt? Yeah, it's a representation of how much more it hurts when another woman hurts you or a girl hurts you or somebody that looks like you hurts you. It just took my it just took me to a whole different place of how this baby felt. And I could just imagine her like being there, being like, "How are you doing this to me?
Like, you
How are
and
you
not
not the one
anybody. Like,
helping
she
me?"
probably looking at her like, how are you doing this
Yes.
to me?
How could you do this to? What are you doing? Why don't you like me? What did I do to you? I don't understand. And yes, I think that they should all be charged with all of those things. And no, I won't be happy till all of them are charged. And then, did you hear that the parents tried to get away and leave with their kids?
No, I ain't seen that one.
Yep, that came out,
And
and the
that's why
neighbors
I
was
said
like,
that and that's why I said they faces need to be plastered around because we don't know
"Mhm,
what none of them look like. So they could just
mhm."
move in somewhere and just be ready to do that to the next little kid. No, we need to see what these little menace to societies look like. I don't care
And
that they're underage. They're doing grown up things. So they
mhm.
face need to be plastered out there. And I'm actually surprised that they're hiding if they are Black kids, which I probably really think it is just knowing the
I heard
neighborhood.
they're
I'm
Alzheimer's.
Yeah, so I'm actually surprised that they're hiding little Black kids' face. I'm actually surprised.
I'm really surprised that like the neighbors or nobody have put it out, because apparently the neighbors have an issue as well, because prior to this happening, the the group had broken into a couple of homes and done things that they shouldn't have done. They were also on adult level, and nothing, had happened to them or whatever. This wasn't their first run in, or
And that's
they
why
weren't
all of them need
perceived.
to be in jail. Like, I mean, come on now. What more do they
Mhm.
have to do? Did they, if they would have unalived the little girl, would they have taken all three of them in, or would they still say that they was too young?
I think they would still say they was too young based on how they handling it, because she was unconscious in everything. Mm,
To me,
I don't
basically, I would
understand.
have treated that little girl as she was unalived. I don't care if I was a
I
detective,
would.
judge, anything. I would have treated it as that because y'all thought that she was. So I'm
And
gonna
if
treat
she
y'all like it
attempted,
really did happen.
what is that, like attempted? And because you went over there and lured her, I think that should be considered premeditated. Uh,
Hmm.
and kidnapping, because you moved her from one spot to another. So with those charges, the actual charges that she or that they are facing, hold on. Let's see if they have it here. Oh, the 5-year-old. There we go. The charges are, what are the charges? I had it written out. I know that one of them is actually kidnapping. Okay, let's see. Lisa. The charges are, why doesn't it say it? One of them is oh my God. Okay, I'll find it and I'll tell you guys in a minute. Because most of it is videos and I can't watch a whole damn video. I needed
Right.
to just tell me what the damn charges are. Um, Wait, let me try one more. Let me see. Identify the daughter. Sorry, you guys. I just wanted to know what the charges were before we get upset, but I believe it was, and you have you're on your phone. It was on Facebook and everything. I thought that I took a screenshot of it, but
I do got it, but it's on my phone and I
it's
can't
on your
remember what
phone
it
and you're
was.
on your phone.
Mhm.
Hmm. So yes, they are actually in custody and they will be getting charges. Um, and they do include kidnapping, and it wasn't RAPE. That wasn't one of them though. It was none of them had anything to do with the
SA.
touching part. Hmm. None of them had anything to do with
Why
that part.
if they was putting sticks and stuff? Why not?
I don't know. I don't know, but that
They
wasn't
treating
in
this
the.
case weird. They treating you real weird. And if I was the family, I would not stop. I would not stop.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't, because none of it makes sense, and they're not either, and I don't blame them. Hold on 1 second. Let me see this thing really quickly. A. Marie. Okay, hold on. Justice for A. Marie charges. Okay. Everything that's coming up is when did we start getting so much into life that a regular oh never mind. Okay, so regarding justice for A. Marie charges, recent reports in October 2025 detailed charges filed against a 9-year-old boy and a 10-year-old girl in Cleveland, Ohio, for the brutal assault of a 5-year-old girl named A. Marie. A group of children is alleged to have attacked her in the field in September. Okay. Um, The prosecutors are going for attempted unaliving, 4 counts of rape, 2 counts of felony assault, kidnapping, and strangulation. Good. But it doesn't say what the 8-year-old yet still. Okay, so that's updated as of today. I'm like,
So you
ChatGPT
said
to
that
come through.
that the family tried to move, but what happened?
That when they tried to relocate,
Yeah.
they must have came and got him. A neighbor told that. Yeah, a neighbor ended up telling that about them breaking and entering and them messing with the cars and them trying to get away. And I was like, wow, that is, you really was just gonna leave?
Girl, yeah. And for the parents doing that, their asses need to go to jail then too.
I agree. And
That is really insane, like for real.
I really don't understand at all. But there's that one. So in other news, hold on. Hold on. You guys still okay? My cousin is getting ready. Let's do the first or second. That was an update. Now let's get into the hot topic. I think neither one of the hot topics. Okay, let's do the one of Little Becky Jr. Little Becky Jr. decided to record somebody and put it on TikTok instead of leaving their DoorDash order at the door. And then she flew away from the house screaming. Well, let's just watch and see what happens. Tell me if you agree or disagree, what you would have done, and what do you think the law is? Let's see. Here we go.
Finally have the original video from the DoorDash girl who said that she was SA'd by a guy sleeping butt naked on his couch with his front door wide open. 2 things. One is if the door was wide open, we see from the video that the staircase is on the right side of the door, meaning that when she walks up the staircase, she can't help but see the guy on this couch, even though the couch isn't in front of his door. I still don't think that she was SA'd. Maybe indecent exposure. I mean, there's some public and privacy business in between there, but I'm not here to argue the legality behind that. I'm here to say that what DoorDash did by firing her is still on her. Intent is everything. This guy is asleep on the couch and she recognized he is asleep. An unconscious person can't have intent for anything. And once again, I want to say that she felt safe enough to see what was happening, pull out her phone, record, and walk away without anything else happening. She was wrong because she recorded somebody in the privacy of his own home, butt naked, and then posted it on social media with his address and everything, pretty much doxing him. Now, the second scenario, and for some reason, this is what everybody is saying, was that the door actually wasn't wide open. It was just cracked because he didn't latch it in properly. If that is the case, you are still wrong for recording and posting him online, but you also are a peeping Tom. Now, you are the one who needs to have charges against you. And I hope that is not the case. I hope that is not true. But people are saying in your original video, that is what happened. So I don't know. But we might have answers sooner than later because a friend of a friend said that the guy has video evidence of her opening his door. I don't know what to believe right now. All we have is the video evidence that she posted, and there's like 8,000 different stories. I hope that she actually comes out and just tells the truth at this point to either clear her name or clear his name. But y'all let me know what y'all think. I'll see y'all in the next one.
So she has made the comment that she is continuing to try to upload her original upload. However, TikTok keeps removing it, as they should, because she showed him laying on the couch with nothing on in his house. I don't understand. What do you think, Rose?
Oh, now that I know the true story, yeah, she should have been fired. I didn't know that that was a true story because I never seen the video. I just seen her crying and saying that she was SA'd and that they stopped her from making money. So now that I know the story, like, that was on you, ma'am. Nobody told you to record that or do nothing. Like, I can't even feel sorry for you at all. I can't feel sorry because you did more than what you were supposed to do. Drop the man's stuff off and leave.
Or if you're uncomfortable, if you truly were uncomfortable, you have every right to not drop it off and go back to your, well, at that point, you're already up there. I probably would have dropped the food and went, but you have every right to call in and let them know that something happened. And I believe they can block it. Well, the first thing they did was block the man from the app. And then when she sent them the video, they fired her because they was like, this is not what you told us happened, and you didn't have a reason to do that. You're out of line. So I don't know, but I could tell you that it is a lot of double standard going on. First of all, in my opinion, I am no legal essay attorney. However, I could tell you from a corporate perspective, I would have fired her immediately too, because this man is going to sue. This man is going to get paid because she did that. Because even if you had a complaint, you as working for DoorDash, see, you guys seem to think that when you work for these companies that you're yourself. When you go out, you're the company. You're not yourself. You're working for DoorDash. You're representing DoorDash. When you went out and did that, they're going to sue DoorDash because there are policies in place. Now, here's what I hope happens. I hope that whatever DoorDash has to pay out, they pass that on to her and they file charges, because you guys need to, people that do it, need to stop going onto social media with other people thinking you can do whatever you want to. How dare you record somebody in their home that's passed out, no matter what they were doing. Actually, how dare you record and then say something as big as SA? At no point did you call the police. At no point did you do any of that if you felt like that's what truly happened. But you're just like another person crying wolf, like the perfect neighbor. Like a certain demographic of people have been completely out of hand with doing for way too long. Why is she not arrested? If that was a girl that was laying out there like that, there's no way that we would be okay with the man doing that to her. No way at all. And you posted it. You took video. You showed his address. Again, all under DoorDash, not whatever your name is. That company is going to have a hefty lawsuit. They are. And the one thing that's going to save just a little bit is that they fired her immediately. Kind of have to fire the person immediately to show that you took action, that you're against it, that you don't condone those type of behaviors. And then as well, I heard that they were the ones that helped to get the videos taken down. They were taken down. She knows they were taken down. She made another video about them being taken down and being upset. I keep trying to re-upload it. So you were told what you did was not okay. It included termination. Nothing, and people in the comments is telling you that's not okay as well. And nothing in your brain is saying, at least, even if I think I'm right, at this point, let me take my hands off, because even if I think I'm right, I might be doing it wrong. Nothing. The man's passed out. But even if he wasn't passed out, guess how I feel? This is what I would have did. No. Ro, what would you have done if you were the DoorDash driver?
I would have just put his stuff there and took a picture and left.
of the food.
Yeah, the food.
I would have did exactly the same thing. The only thing that I would have done different is because the door was open. I would have recorded myself setting it on the inside of the door, and I would have actually pulled the man's door closed. That's the only thing I would have did different. I wouldn't have locked it or anything like that because I don't know what's going on. But I know that I would have pulled the door because the screen was open and the door was open. And if he's passed out, my assumption would be because knowing your field and the things that are typical that have to make sense as well. My thought process would have been, oh, he was probably loaded. He ordered food, so he didn't have to drive. He passed out on the couch. Okay, let me leave his food in here. Do what I do on the DoorDash app so he knows it's here. But I'm gonna close the door and I'm gonna close the screen door. He probably was changing his clothes and passed out, or who knows? I don't know, but that's not my business. That man is inside of his home. I really don't give a damn. And this is just me personally. Everybody has what they think is a trigger, but just because it's a trigger doesn't make it illegal and doesn't make the other person wrong. I really don't care if he was laying there fucking. That's none of my business. None. I would have left the food and left. No, you saw a door open and your nosy ass had to make sure that you saw what was in there. I wouldn't have looked because the couch sits over here. I would have just dropped the food and left.
And they told you to put it on the doorstep and leave. Shit, they didn't tell you to knock at the door or nothing.
And didn't. And didn't. Mm.
So that's
Well,
on you that you don't got a job.
Well, that's how I feel. She's all over social media. Hi, beautiful. She's all over social media now, trying to keep reloading the video of her in this DoorDash order. And most of the people that are on her side are those that are victims. And to every victim, I am so compassionate for you. It's no different than if somebody talked about fat people. That's something I'm going to trigger and be compassionate about. But there comes a point where you have to realize what is logical and what is not logical. What is not logical is putting your experience in that space where it's not the experience at all. If something happened to you and you were physically attacked and touched and all of those things, that has nothing to do with what this girl is doing. And she knew that triggering that type of audience, that it would be more of
I thought that's what happened to her. I really thought that she was
Oh.
SA. I was like, oh yeah. I didn't know that he was just laying there like
Oh, so you were like the others. You didn't see the video. Okay. Well, yeah, no, that's not what happened. Little liar, ladybug. She was lying. Because when we were talking about, oh, my poor nose. We were talking about, did you see the DoorDash girl?
No, as you can see, my facial expression is all over the place because I haven't seen that video, and I'm looking at y'all responses because
Let
I
me
haven't
tell
seen.
you. It was a girl who was a DoorDash driver. All she was supposed to do was leave the order at the door. She goes up and the door was either cracked and a support too. It was either cracked and or open. When she goes up, she looks into the house and sees the guy on the couch, no bottoms on, but passed out. She drops the food, records the food, and records him and saying he's essaying her. Turns around from the house with the house in the back of her, so now you're showing the address, and leaves saying she's being essayed. Then uploads it to TikTok. Calls in to report it to DoorDash. They block him. She sends the video for proof, and they fire her immediately and have the videos taken down. And she's saying that she was fired and she shouldn't have been, and that he SA'd her.
She
And
should
she's
be
the
arrested.
victim. Thank you. Try to tell the people. Can you imagine waking up and your butt is all over the internet and you was in your house sleep?
First, that's breaking and entering because the app clearly says leave on the door, and you walked in somebody's house without them offering to let you in.
Well,
And
she
then
stayed
you
at
took
the
a
door,
photo
but it
of
looks like
them.
she leaving. Video.
She took a video of him and posted it on
Video.
social media. Isn't that also a crime now without
Because
consent?
it was video. Yes, it is. Of his
Yeah, she
naked
should go to
tail.
jail.
If it was a man, they would be in jail. If that was a lady, they
Mhm.
would be in jail and everybody would see it crystal clear. But trespassing, yes, because your orders was to leave it on the porch. I didn't ask you to come and look and see what's going on in my house. I don't care if you
Right.
was getting a blowjob, sir. That's none of my business. Here's your food, so when you're done, you can eat. I don't care. That's none of my business. Well, she's all over
I don't-
social media upset and still trying to re-upload the video after they take it down. Girl, you making it worse. These 20-year-olds and stuff, they out of their mind. I
Yeah,
don't
she
know.
just needed, she wanted a check, she wanted some attention, and she needs a mental health diagnosis.
Because, ma'am, why are you yelling at us? You went in people's house. So, guys, back to our original topic. We are going back to domestic violence because this is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So, tonight we are going to be talking about so she has another video on Rose channel. When was that? In April?
Yeah, like yeah.
It was in April, so you can hear the beginning part, which is how you get into particular domestic violence situations. Rices. That's where yes, girl, if that would have been me. I would get all the money because I would be so distraught. I can't show my face anymore. I can't do anything. I can't sleep at night. I'm afraid she has my address and she will come back and do something to me because she is online and unhinged. I would.
Mhm.
Me too.
Because she is online and unhinged. And this is what happens when you don't take care of stuff. She still sees no fault in what she did. So tonight we're going to be talking to my cousin Tan. I call her Tan. She will introduce herself. And we're going to be talking about what happens when the victim becomes the aggressor and what that looks like. So Tan, you can introduce yourself and then we will get started on the main topic. And thank you for coming.
I am. First, I want to apologize for being late. The time differences throw me off. I am Tanya, and I am no longer a victim or an overcomer. I am here for. I am a sponsor.
Hmm.
And I did go through my aggressive phase. As a matter of fact, it was recently. So that's why at first I didn't want to do the discussion.
Okay.
Because there was a period where I became the aggressor in a new relationship. Um, and I decided that I talked to him about it, and I decided that this needs to be heard because you're not always a victim, and there is another side to being an overcomer. There's the bad side, and that's when you become the aggressor.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about how you, or start off telling us your story, how you went from being the victim to the aggressor. And before you start, does everybody do that, or do you? Some people not become the aggressor. Can does that happen all the time?
No, it doesn't happen all the time.
Okay.
And what also made me want to go ahead and talk about it was I have a young lady that works in an environment, and she goes to work bruised and beat up quite a bit. And I spoke with her the other day, and she now has 2 broken arms. And her response to me was, because he loves me and I love him. And she doesn't play a victim role. She doesn't make up excuses for him. They both have come from domestic violence homes, and he just needs to be reassured. And her staying is showing him what true love is. She doesn't fight back. She doesn't even, it's not a thought. Leaving is not an option. I talked to her about, have you not realized that women are are being unalived these days. And her response to me was, men are also being unalived by the women that hit them. And that's where the women become the aggressor. So in my situation, I was married. I I was I'm always the girl that say, I wish somebody would. I hope he do. He bet not. I was talking to a young lady and she said, well, if he don't hit you, he don't love you. And I said, oh girl, that's not love. See, I knew better. I wasn't raised in a domestic violence environment. So I knew better. So the first time it hit me, it was the first time I was hit, I was so outdone because I was like, why would you treat me this way? I don't deserve this. But as the years went on, the abuse got worse. I never told anybody. Nobody ever knew. I kept it a secret. I was the ran into the cabinet lady. I was the didn't go to work because my house flooded for 2 days. I cut my hair because I was tired of it looking like that. It wasn't because he pulled all my hair out. I made up every excuse in the world. And then I began to realize that I was becoming the typical domestic violence victim. And I had a cousin one day that said, if you don't whoop him, I'm going to whoop you. And I was so afraid of this cousin because my cousin is like 6'10". And I came home and I put my shoes on and I told my cousin, come on, my husband, come on outside. I'm whooping you today. So I made him fight me. And I made him fight me with everything he had in him. And no, I didn't whoop him, but he sure knew not to put his hands on me anymore. At this point, that's when I become the aggressor. Because every time he said something, I hit him in his mouth. Well, by then he's afraid of me. So every time he do something, I hit him in his mouth. If he wasn't at home at a certain time, I would show up at the club with my tennis shoes on and my pajamas. And I whooped him all the way out the club. Because at this point, I'm so dangerous that he's afraid to hit me back because he's afraid of the outcome. Since I hadn't been with him, I had started doing domestic violence marches. I support domestic violence causes. I help women go to school. I'm all about change, building, beginning a new life. Well, I met a man and he was a different type of man, but he never hit me. He didn't understand that verbal abuse and emotional abuse is just as bad as physical abuse. So he was from the hood, and where they come from, the B word is tossed around frequently, and it's okay where they come from. It's not okay where I come from. To me, it's disrespect.
Mhm.
So he called me one day and just in conversation, and I said, don't do that again. And he realized that it was a trigger for me. So once he realized it was a trigger for me, he would do it intentionally. So I started hitting him in his mouth. I started hitting him in his mouth a lot. So then I caught myself posting up on him. And one day he said, Tandy, you realize women can't whoop men. But in my mind, I haven't realized that I've become the abuser. And one day he was laying in the bed and he told me he was a victim of domestic violence. And it really hurt my feelings because I didn't realize that I had become the person that I was most afraid of. The next time we had, and he stayed. He stayed because he loved me. He stayed because he knew I needed some help. And he stayed for the same reasons the women say they stay when he and I talk about it. he gave me the same reasons why he stayed. One day I woke up and he was looking at me in my sleep, and I asked him, "Why aren't you sleeping?" He said, "Because I'm afraid of you. I'm afraid of what you might do to me." And that's when I realized that I became the person that I feared the most. And we never talk about what happens after being a victim, after being a survivor, after overcoming. We always act like these women or these men find a new partner and life goes on happily ever after. This journey never ends. This healing process never ends. I don't get a pass because someone hit me. It doesn't give me a pass to say, well, somebody did it to me, so I'm doing it to you. I didn't even have the words to apologize because a word shouldn't trigger me to put my hands on somebody, just like it shouldn't have triggered someone to put their hands on me. So I don't have therapy to help me with being an aggressor. I have a mirror that I have to stand and look at every day, where he would show me where I gave him a black eye, or I pulled his hair out, or I lost my temper so much that when he showed me a video of myself, I didn't recognize the person that was in the video. And not even the sound of my voice was the same. It was kind of like I morphed into someone else. So at this point, he and I are sharing our stories, and he's looking at me as if in confusion, because if I felt this way, why am I treating him that way? And why is it okay for me when it's not okay for me? It's not okay for anybody. So there's never, in my opinion, there's never, the healing journey doesn't stop. I stay on the defensive. And I don't know that there will ever be a man strong enough to humble me enough that I won't ever feel like I'm fighting for my life, or I have to show you that I shouldn't ever have to fight for my life. Does that make sense?
It does, because so it's very interesting that to your point, even like the girl earlier, somebody doesn't hit me, they don't love me. They just need to see that I stay. I don't think that people equate, to your point, the part of domestic violence when it goes into the full package of why the person doesn't leave. You always ask, why don't they just leave, to your point, as if, okay, if I walk out of this door and relocate, the only problem was I was getting hands put on me. So if today I don't get hands put on me and this person isn't around me, then everything is just all over. It should be no big deal. And so then they don't, or we don't know until you start to like truly process it or know somebody, that there are red flags that you actually need to look for in the victim, because they can pass those things on. To your point, now they're in survival mode. You've put them in a place of survival mode that they didn't ask for. They don't know how to navigate. Thus, they don't know how to get out of it either, or what that looks like. So then they start to be maybe mean to their kids, or jumpy, or can't go into the next relationship. Do you really heal? Well, my question is, do you ever heal from being a cocaine addict? If you're a cocaine addict and they put it on the table in front of you, you're probably very likely to do it. You can't not be in a relationship forever, or most people don't. So then this opens up, and you're very brave for talking about this in a way that you take ownership. Only part I don't agree with, cousin, is you saying that somebody's saying something to you doesn't give, like, it's not a right for you to have a trigger, but it's not a right in that you can do something wrong with it, but it is a understandable residue of what's left over from the relationship. So that gives you an opportunity to focus on that, because when you're in survival mode, have you ever thought about, like, when we were kids, when something really bad happened, you put your cover over your head and you went into a different space, because if I'm scared in this space, if I disappear, it's not here, it's not here, it's not here. So it could be all these things going on, but you don't see it. That's what survival mode is. So maybe when something happens to you, your brain just says, I need to do this thing. And to your point, you don't remember everything that went in it. All you know is, I survived. I did what I needed to do to be okay. I did what I needed to do so that the hit wouldn't come to me first. I gave it first. But I
Yeah.
appreciate this person staying and showing you who you are, because you're right. I don't know that version of you. If somebody would have told me that that was happening, would I believe it? No. They probably have to show me, because I would be like, that's impossible, because we don't know what that space looks like. And that would be very unfair to that other person for us to say that didn't exist, because no, I wouldn't believe it. So thank you for sharing that. Now my question is, you're right. You probably will never be healed, because you didn't grow up with that, and you had to adapt to being a new person. But now you get to fix that person, knowing that it exists. So what are some of the things that you're doing, if with this person that said, I don't want him to lay next to me and be scared to go to sleep? Because you're right, women can unalive. We don't have the power, but we have weapons. You have other things you can do. So, that makes a whole lot of sense. What are you doing now?
I
To
wanted
make
to
that
ask her,
better?
I wanted to ask her something real fast too before I
Oh,
forget. I
please.
wanted to ask you, when he finally, like, the tables turned and he said that he was afraid of you, what do you think made him stay if he was so afraid of you once the tables had turned? What do you think made him say, I'ma stay, rather than just leave so he don't have to be
She
afraid?
said it. She said he gave all the answers that women give. Maybe you didn't hear it. I'll let her tell you again. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
He gave me all the answers that women give. He wanted to show me that someone, because I have abandonment issues, he wanted to show me that he wouldn't abandon me.
Oh,
He
okay. Yeah,
wanted
you
to
say that. Okay.
show me that that he loved me, and that he was in it for because that was my Mr. Forever. And he wanted to show me that what forever meant. Instead of running when the times get rough, we gonna work through this. Um, it
But do you
did
think he
get.
was really afraid of you, or afraid of what your cousin may do to him? If you know what I mean? Was he really
Oh,
afraid
you're
of you?
talking about the husband. You're talking about the husband.
These are
The
two different
husband,
people.
the husband. I continue to whoop him. The husband, I continue to whoop him. I continue to fight him at every opportunity I got, because now it was about revenge. Um, with the abuser, it was
Mm-hmm.
about revenge. Um, so every opportunity I got, I hit him. Um, and for him, he stayed because I was more of a mother figure than a
Oh,
wife.
okay. Maybe that's where I got it mixed up. I'm thinking this is all the same person,
Mm.
but it's two
Mhm.
different people. Okay, that's where I'm mixing it up at.
So the abuser was a husband.
Okay.
The When I became the aggressor, I carried being an aggressor on into my most recent
Oh,
relationship.
okay. So you saying the recent spouse stayed because of the abandonment issues?
Mhm.
Okay, I get it now. I get it. I thought that was the same person all the way across. Okay, I get it now.
Mhm.
So what I began doing is, first of all, I looked at the first video of the first situation with my most recent relationship. And we were simply making TikTok videos and it got out of hand. So this is how it got recorded. So as I'm watching the video, I'm saying, who is that? Wait, go back. Who is that? Because I don't recognize the person in the video. I don't recognize the voice. I don't even recognize the features of the person. And he told me, he said, that's you. And I said, no, that's not me. So I would never just look at the video, because then that would mean I would have to take ownership of my behavior. So I sat there and I watched the video and I was so disgusted by what I saw, because as a woman, I would not tolerate it. I wouldn't want somebody else to tolerate it. And it's something that I speak against frequently. Um, so then I had to sit down and I had to talk to him and take accountability for what I'd done, because when he would talk to me, he would often say that I never take accountability for what I had done. I always wanted to point the finger. And I said, would always dismiss it as, there you go with those social media words of the year. The word of the year is accountability. The word of the year is narcissism. And I continued to dismiss it. So I've been to therapy. I've done several things. And I don't discredit therapy, but I went to a therapist that encouraged the behavior. I went to another therapist
Your
that,
behavior?
yeah, because it's part of the healing process, is what she told me. That's what she told me. She told me it's part of the healing process. I
Now
went
wait
to
a minute,
another
cousin. I
therapist.
understand that there is an ugly side of healing, and hurt people, and it can carry into the next relationship. I understand all of those things can happen, and two things can exist. While I understand while it's happening, and I could be there for you, to your point, but hey, you can't do this. How could she tell you that that was? I understand making sure that you knew you were okay and that you're not a monster, you didn't do it on purpose, all of that. But how could she just sit there and tell? What if you would have went to jail, or you did something that went too far because this lady telling you what you're doing is okay?
She said everything you just said. And the reason why it's okay is because now I have post traumatic stress disorder, because I've been in a domestic violence situation. So it's excusable, because now being a victim of domestic violence is post traumatic stress disorder. So now it's excusable, because now it's a mental health issue.
In the court of law, but not morally, and not, how can a licensed person tell you something? You know what? Listen, ladies, that is why we just talked about on the other show. This is exactly why so many women are sitting in prison with life or on death row or something like that, because you're made to feel that once you're a victim, women do. I get why men say that now, that women don't get held accountable, because if a man, all the things that happen to them, they are told, but you're the man, you're not supposed to do X, Y, and Z. But you mean to tell me this woman knew the stuff that you really did? Because, cousin, you are creative as shit. You did some good shit to the one that deserved it. Sorry, not sorry.
Mhm.
She knew that you did that kind of stuff, and she's telling you to go out. Therapists need to be held accountable then. Because what if you'd have went and kept going, and then we lose you to the damn prison system because this fool done told you that? Do they have to take accountability when somebody get in trouble?
No, because you've been diagnosed. You have a diagnosis now. But then I also seeked counsel in spiritual guidance.
Right.
And spiritually, I was told to humble myself. You don't know what our grandmothers went through back in the days to be strong women. You don't, the Bible teaches, and the word says. So
Cousin, that's even worse. Go ahead.
the the spiritual guidance told me to humble myself to my husband, and that's what dominant men do, and this too shall pass. And so what I've learned is healing comes from within, and healing begins with you, not, and this doesn't discredit therapy, because therapy helps some people, but everybody isn't a therapist.
No.
Everybody that sits on a panel does not have the right answers, because what works for everybody else does not work for you. It took for me to lay next to a man that slept fully dressed in his tennis shoes, that looked me in my face to tell me that he was afraid of me, for me to realize there's a problem. Because
Well,
to me,
I want to
uh,
commend you. I think that's beautiful. You're my favorite. You already know that. I think you're absolutely awesome. And I hate to hear that you went through what you went through. But I'm very proud of you. And you know what? That's how I know it's a God, because two people cleared you. If that's the route you wanted to take, two people cleared you and basically told you you could keep doing the shit you was doing in all of your creativeness, in all of your assertiveness, and all of your non-fuck-wittableness. They told you that, and you could have gone out there and did some real damage, and you didn't. So I'm very proud of you in knowing that that was not the right answer. And I'm very proud of you for sharing it, because it's not the right answer. It's not. You don't want to have blood on your hands. You're smart, very smart, good lady. Mm, I
well,
cannot
thank
believe
you
you
very
went through that.
much.
Mm, mm. Do you have? So, blood of Jesus. When you was, bro, if you have a question, please just jump in. Um, I didn't write any questions down because I just wanted to talk, but I have a question that was in there. Because I never in my life heard somebody say that the doctor told him to do this shit. Like, and you know, Ro, I watch a lot of those shows about why women are in prison, hearing their stories, how they're on death row, how it was self-defense, all of these things. But if the therapist is the one that's making them believe that self-defense and staying is a better option than leaving, that's somebody's child too. That's the father of, you could leave. Now, when they follow behind you and do all of that, that's different. But for the ones that want to stay and keep going back and forth, like the one who said, if they don't hit me, they don't love me.
Mm-hmm.
No, because what if one of y'all hit each other, then you fall and hit your head on something? Like, did you ever think about that while you were doing things? Hey, this person could not be alive if I do this thing. Or were you in a trance, if you will, like survival mode?
There's a blackout. I'm not gonna say there's a blackout moment, because I'm fully I was always fully aware, because but with there were moments where the the vengeance is mine, saith the Lord, in my mind. That it didn't matter what the consequences were. I'm willing to go as far as you willing to go. So there was a dare. Hit me back. Push me again. Say something. I want you to. Because when you were doing it to me, I balled up in a corner. I cried, hid in a closet. I laid in a trunk, and you continued to do it to me. So, with no concern or care if I made it. So, when it was my turn, it was like, you know how they say you're mad at the world. So, I'm mad at anyone that doesn't love me the way that I feel like I deserve to be loved, because I've been through this with this man. And so, whatever I'm supposed to go through as far as domestic violence goes, I've been through that. So if you can't love me better than this, then I dare you. I dare you not to treat me the way I deserve to be treated. I dare you not to love me the way I deserve to be loved. And when the arrogance that some men have, and I'm not going to say men, I'm going to say people, the arrogance that some people have that they're entitled and they can say and treat you how they want to treat you, it became like vigilante justice to me. So if you felt like you was going to pull out on me, I'm going to pull out on you because I've made my peace. See, somebody could have took me out a long time ago when I was in a trunk. So I made my peace. And this is my mental state. I've made my peace when I was in that trunk. I made my peace when you left me on the kitchen floor bleeding. So I've made my peace. So when I'm the aggressor, I still am in a place of I've made my peace. So I dare you. And my excuse had always been because you don't know what I've been through. You don't know where I've come from. Or you knew what I've been through and you still chose to treat me this way. So even in a sense, you become an aggressor and I became entitled. And then I had a humbling experience because I actually talked to this person that I was the aggressor with right before I got on here. And we had a lengthy conversation about it. And he said that he was glad that I called to talk about it because he wanted to, he actually was like, he wanted to be on the panel. And I was like, well, I don't want us to be arguing in front of people, you know. And he said, I wouldn't argue, but it's something that if we're able to talk about it, Tan, I think it's something that would be beneficial to people to hear both sides of the story
Tell them to come
about
on.
how both people felt.
I think, and this is the second one, right?
Yeah.
I think that would be. I think that
Want
that
to
would be
do that.
a real good. That would be something really good. That because we never see both sides. We always see one side, so we don't never
Or if
really
we
get.
do, they're not sitting face to
Yeah,
face. I
that's what I
think
was
it's
about to say.
easy to
They not.
get.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they sitting next to each other where we could see both you guys. So I think that would be great. Yeah, that would be really good.
Tell him if he's available on Thursday. I'll be glad to have him, and or on next Tuesday, whichever he prefers, because we're still within the month to talk about it. I
Mhm.
think that would be really
That would be really good.
I think
Hmm.
that would be really good because I have questions for him um as well. He is You said that the second one is the one that when you identified that the word bitch was a trigger for you, he knew that it was a trigger for you. So that's where kind of your entitlement came in a little bit. Like, I told you not to do this and you're doing it anyway. So you get every single thing that comes along with that because you already know what I've been through. So for you to even try to push a button, you did this. And in the same token, I feel like anybody, if you know a person's triggers, traumas, and things like that, when you go below the belt, which is what we call that, you did do that. Yeah, you
Mhm.
again, two things can't exist. You shouldn't have done that shit, and the person shouldn't have responded that way. Both people are not okay in the situation. The saddest part is typically when somebody is triggered to being back in that space. Um, I don't think that people realize when it's a hurt person and you've triggered them, what you've done is you took their safety away that you had with them. You've shown, oh, if something happens, I have no problem with hurting you the same way everybody else did. So that's how you pick up the
Mhm.
everybody else did behavior. Now, here's the part where we have to make a decision. Once I've decided that you have triggered something in me, because have I had domestic violence and hitting? No. Verbal? Yes. Um, once that one thing was said, because I said the same things, oh, you're not really talking to me, you're not mad at me, because actually what the person was saying didn't make sense. Either way, it wasn't okay. And that's the part I didn't know. But it was a particular thing that the person said. And I remember sitting up in my bed like, you said the one thing that was attached to something that really hurt me. So you've been waiting to use this shit. I can no longer trust you. And
Yeah.
for me, I've been trying to come back from that and I can't. And I didn't realize how closely that was attached to domestic violence. You don't take it as serious if it's verbal, especially if the person isn't standing over you or things like that. But no, it very much so was. And I can't get myself back to feeling the same way about that person. I just can't, because you showed me that you would take me out if you could. Because verbal for me is really bad. I don't like you saying certain things to me. And I will tell you what they are so you don't. And it's not a word, it's a phrase. So you said that whole phrase that's not common. You knew what the fuck you owe. You tried to go in for this. I can't. I can
And
tell you
what
I'm
he
sorry
would
or
say
forgive
is,
you. I can't forget it.
what he would say was, it's just a word. Why does a
It's
word
not
bother you so much? And I never knew what I knew what make triggers are, but
Mhm.
there wasn't a term for it back
Right.
then.
Right.
So I never acknowledged things as triggers. What I did realize is I felt like hitting him would show him how much hurt that word did to me.
Right. Right.
So I realized that when he realized it was a trigger, he was taunting me. So
Yes.
in
And that's not
taunting me,
cool.
it would take me to another place.
Yes.
But at the same time that I'm on a healing journey, I'm also an aggressor, but I'm also regressing back to being a victim, because now I'm going through verbal abuse and I'm still fighting. The fighting never stops, because now I'm fighting my way out of verbal abuse, and the fighting never stops. You never stop fighting. You never stop fighting to survive. You never stop fighting to be a victim. You never stop fighting to be a fighter. It's a forever process. It never stops. And it crosses over into my professional life. It crosses over into friendships. It even crosses over into my relationship with family members, because at the end of the day, the person that hit me the very first time was someone that I stood before God with and I took vows with.
Mm.
So everybody that loves me is capable of mistreating me. So I'm going to be on the defensive always.
Mm-hmm.
So my healing journey never ends, as well as my journey to never put my hands on anybody. Because I will say, I am so, even with my sister, I will tell my sister, you're going to make me hit you in your mouth. And it became so common to me. My sister began to tell me, all you want to do is hit on people. But
It makes me feel better.
I didn't recognize it. I didn't recognize it at all, because if my first husband wanted me to shut up, that's what happened. So then when it was my turn, when I wanted to stop being called bitches, that's what I did. And it goes and it goes and it goes. And this doesn't say that all women do this. Let me clarify that, because some women, they don't become aggressors when they are part in a domestic violence situation. Some women, they end up being unalived, and some women stay in relationships with men that continue different men that continue to beat them, because that's what they know as love. And it's not just women, it's men too, as you can see, because men are victims of domestic violence as well. But you continue to be with these kind of people because when you meet someone that loves you and they want to show you different, you don't recognize it because that's not what love looks like. So everybody doesn't become an aggressor. That's just my story. That's what happened to me. And that's my personality. I'm a dominant woman, and that's my dominance overpowered being fragile.
You know, something I've identified in relationships, period. And I'm saying it period because I need people to understand, because they only see things when it's a big issue that looks big to you, but they don't see it in their everyday life when they do these things. Again, not being able to look in the mirror. But she brought up something I've said it a few times. When you look at life and you look at the people that have hurt you, my primary statement is always your family taught you how to accept a particular type of hurt, or it's the person that chose to marry you or the person you chose to have kids with. This is the reason why, because as your family and your parents, they're the people that's supposed to love you no matter what. So if they could hurt you like that and you're supposed to love me above everybody else, because this is us, blood of my blood, flesh of my flesh, then you're showing me that if you can hurt me, that means anybody can. That immediately is going to put me on defense. Or if the person that you laid there and had a baby with, man or female, because it could be on both sides, you think we created life together and you would do this to me. Or the person that married you, you chose me, especially a woman in this space. You proposed to me. You chose me. You said these vows to me. You wanted me as your person. You picked me and you did this to me. You can't make me believe that other people want. So everything that happens going forward, to my cousin's point, is a daily battle, sometimes from conversation to conversation, because you're consistently on guard. I understand why people stay sometimes too in any of those type of relationships, because the devil is better than the one that you don't. And you can move on to somebody that's amazing. But do you know in your healing process how uncomfortable that is? I've expressed how hard it was for me to be with my husband at first, because he wanted to cuddle and do all of these things. And I was like, who does these things? And he was so perfect for so long. It got to points where I was like, I don't want to see him right now, when we were dating. And I needed to relax, because it was like, I know something's going to happen. It's impossible. This can't be this good. I would prefer that something happens. At least if something happens, then I know, okay, it happened and I got a few months without it happening before it happens again. It's like you get used to being in a cycle. Something has to happen. If nothing happens, I'm not going to be comfortable until something happens. It has to happen. Then it can happen. We can go through it, and now we can make up, and I can be comfortable for a little while. If it's perfect too long again, I'm going to be uncomfortable. If you truly look in the mirror, you are probably with a lot of things. It could be a layoff at work. It could be your kids misbehave. It could be anything. But it's something that gives you anxiety because you're waiting for the other foot to drop, is what they call it, I think. But yes, imagine it being domestic violence is that much worse. So stop judging people when they don't leave or break the relationship off altogether. It's some form of that that's needed for them too. It's very difficult. It's not easy. It's just walking away and, now it's just better because, they're not in your life anymore.
And you have to find, you lose yourself in every situation, whether you're the victim or the aggressor. You lose yourself in that person, because in my marriage, I would ask people about his past, and no one ever, he was never that kind of man. He was never an aggressive man. He doesn't even fight. He's what they call a lover, not a fighter. He was suave. That just wasn't in his personality. Everyone blamed it on drug use.
Okay.
Nobody, it just wasn't in his personality. So even when I would tell decided to start telling people what was going on, nobody believed me because that's not the kind of person he is.
Mm-hmm.
That makes it even worse, though. If somebody tells you that somebody is behaving a way, if you truly love the person, at least look into it. I'm not saying disown your person or anything like that, but if I was told that about somebody, I'm going to pay attention, because my first question would be, what happened to change it from this to this? Because you
Right.
may be able to catch the early onset of drugs, alcoholism, whatever it
Mhm.
is, that you could catch it and you can help it. Because you're right, it doesn't have to be that person. They just, something happened and you need to fix it, other than ignore it until it's out of control. I don't, why do you think people ignore
Because
things until it gets
they have to
crazy?
see the monster that they never wanted to acknowledge. You know, nobody wants to see the bad in people. If you know, there's just like all the things coming out, like with the pastors and stuff.
Mhm.
You've seen the action in the pastor. You've seen the behavior. You know it's there, but you're never going to speak on it until somebody else does, or until it's blown out of proportion. Then you'll say, "Oh, I seen it. I noticed it one day on such and such a day. I seen this and this and this." Nobody wants to acknowledge that it's happening, or they recognized it until somebody else has to bring it up, because you can't be the person to call that person out. Then that would make you be the bad person.
Right. And you don't want to be on your own or deal with whatever the consequences might be. Um,
Because sometimes there are consequences behind it. I've been to jail. Um, there was a time when the police came, and he when as I became the aggressor, he came to the police car and he asked the police not to take me to jail. Um, he told the police that he deserved the things that I done to him, and he told them that I have something to lose. And if I went to jail, I would lose my license and those type of things. And he saved me from going to jail. And when him and I did talk about it, he said that he had done so much to me that he couldn't allow me to go to jail for what he started.
mm,
It, I
that's still
actually
so
talked to him
unsafe.
a week ago. It's
Okay.
crazy because when you asked me to do this and I was going through some other things with my job, I talked to him that evening,
Mm,
and he and I had the same conversation, and we were able to talk about some things, and I was telling him about this healing journey that I've begun on for myself. And he asked me to forgive him as the first part of my healing journey.
what did you say?
I told him, okay,
So you're
it,
working
you,
on forgiving him.
I'm not even angry. I'm not angry at him. And I've forgiven him because we have to go through things in life to become the people that we are today. And some of the things that I've been through, the young ladies that I deal with on a daily basis on my job, I wouldn't be able to help them had I not been through this stuff that I've
Yeah.
been through.
I
I
say
would
that all
still
the
be,
time. I say that all the time. You go through
Yeah.
things for a reason. I say you might not never know why, and sometimes you do know why, but it's a reason why you go through everything in life. So that's good that you're able to help other women because you went through that already.
because I would still be judgmental. I would still have my opinions. I wouldn't be understanding um to their situations. And when they come talk to me, I'm understanding. I don't criticize them. I don't
Mhm.
give them bad advice.
Mhm.
When you're ready, I'm here.
Yep.
When you're ready, I
Have
know some
friends
people that can
like
help
that.
you, but
I
you
had a
have to be ready.
I had a friend slash coworker that went through a situation like that. And I just, for the life of me, I could not understand why she would not leave. And it made me so sad because she would really come to work beat up. But I guess I'm nosy. Ain't no I guess. I am nosy, but I'm your friend. I'm always already her friend, but I'm real observant. So I already would know the type of person he was. And I remember one day she came to work and she had like a swoop bang over her eyes. And I'm like, bitch, what you doing all that for? We a night shift. Like, we're night shift, not shift. What you trying to do all this makeup and swoop over your eyes? And I moved her bangs over her eyes. We was sitting at the nurse's station and she just started crying. And I was like, what the F? I was like, no, like this is getting out of hand. And she was like, you don't understand, Rashonda. And I was like, I don't understand. Like, make me understand this. I don't understand the man that keeps on beating on you and you stand up. And I just could not understand it. She was like, well, you don't have no kids, so you don't understand. I said, I don't have no kids. And I said, but you have 2 daughters. So you want your daughters to see their daddy, your husband beating up on you, you coming to work with black eyes and all this stuff. She just could not ever explain to me why she was like, Rashonda, you will never understand because you don't have a husband and you don't have kids. I was like, I don't. I said, but I don't feel like he loves you because I don't feel like nobody that loves you would do that. And she was like, but I love him. And I think that I'd rather stay with him and we be a family than my kids not have a dad. And I was like, and I would think your kids would do better without a daddy. And I was like, but I mean, maybe one day I said, maybe one day it'll just pop in your head. I said, I would hate for one day you to lose your life and your kids don't have a mom because their daddy is beating the hell out of you. And I remember one day we was at work and she called me and she was like, I'm not coming back to work. And I was like, then I got scared. And she was like, I packed all my stuff and I'm moving. And I was like, do he know you leaving? Like, and I was like, she was like, no. And she moved and she never came back. He was apologetic to her. He wanted to make it right. She moved to a whole different state and she never looked back. And she would always tell me like, she thanked me for like, I was the only person that would like keep it real with her, but I still did not understand like why she went through that for so many years. Is be like, I think sometimes it takes for somebody to go through it like how you went through it. So you really could be an advocate for women and tell them, but like me, I'm just like, no, bitch, you need to leave him alone. Like, but I really don't understand because I've never been in a domestic violent relationship or anything like that. And it's really nothing that a man could say to me that's going to hurt my feelings. So it's just like, say it again. Like, I'll be the one that be saying something like, you know, whatever, I wish you would, whatever, but never ain't nobody hit me. Ain't nobody ever did nothing. So people always say, if you never went through it, you don't understand. So I don't be understanding stuff like that, but I'll be so happy when women leave those relationships like that. That's why I was asking you about the first husband, like, well, what made, but now I understand what happened. But even the second husband, in my mind, I hope he do come on Asia's show so I can ask him, like, I know you said
I'm
like
gonna need your questions in advance.
yeah.
Because yeah.
Yeah,
Because you have to be very, very careful with this topic. This is one of the topics I have not been in domestic violence with him.
Questions
but
you really don't
I
understand.
train my supervisors that if you see someone that has been hurt, it's not about you. And it's very hard. It's so hard. I have cried with women. I have done all of that because you don't understand, because you're not in it. And it goes back to what I was talking about earlier. That's why I brought that up. People don't think about the aftermath of leaving the person. They simply think you just leave and you will be fine. They don't think about the fact that you really love this person. They don't think about the mental breakdown that happened in between here and there that could bring about a bunch of things. You could be scared. You could feel like you can't make it. They could have your money. They can have things that are actually holding you hostage. They could threaten with your kids. It's a bunch of things that can happen why a person cannot move as fast as you would want them to move. They are also fighting those same things. So if they come
Mhm.
to you, especially in a work environment, and I'm I'm glad that it ended up going in a way that was good, because that could have led to a complaint. Because I come here to work. I come here to be safe. If you feel like I'm not safe, it could be you are passionate. That's different. But we got to remember other people are listening. You don't get to tell me when it's time to leave. You don't get to bring this up if I didn't bring it up. This is my escape. I don't want to talk about this while I'm at work. If I swoop my bangs, they're my bangs. If I'm doing this, it's my life. You can't tell me what to do. It's
Mhm.
a very thin line in there, in that what if you make that person leave and they never come back, but you was the only person that could keep them safe. You was the person that they knew that they could talk to. You was the person that could have their back in case they had to unalive that MFer and they needed
Oh,
somebody to say, I saw
I
her with this. You know what I'm saying? So
mean,
I we seek to understand, but I try to get rid of that word with people, because you cannot
Yeah.
understand if
and she
you haven't been in it. And it's
like
not for me to make you understand.
and it was
And vice versa.
to make me understand. I remember one time I even had a birthday party for her and my boyfriend at that time, because their birthdays was like one day apart. So I was like,
Mhm.
oh, we have a birthday party for both of y'all. And I did it. And she didn't come. I was so pissed off. And I was called her and I'm like, you know what? Like, you
See, that's
cannot.
what I mean about making it all about you.
And
You
I
know the
was
girl
so
in
mad.
domestic violence. So if she don't show up, something probably happened. You don't be
But I
mad first. You be
did the
like, oh, I hope she's okay.
next
You know?
The next day we went to Las Vegas and I made her go. I said, you already got a babysitter for your kids. I'm gonna meet you at the corner. We'll be at the corner in the car and bring your
Now, what
stuff.
was you gonna do if that man showed up in Vegas with a This is what I tell people. This is why I love me and Ro. We are both Aquarius, but she's on a different spectrum. She's closer to a Pisces, and they don't have sense. They don't think things all the way through. No, you're gonna do what I want you to do, no matter what happened. That's how Ashley was too. And I
Have
be looking at Ashley like,
just
"Are you
wanted
ready
her
for
to
the
have a good
consequences?"
birthday.
And she'd be
I
like, "That's gonna
want her to have
happen."
a good birthday. I just wanted her to have a good birthday because I
At what
know
expense,
with
though? At what expense? Okay, great. You took her out to have a good birthday. She go back in the door and walk in like that Tyler Perry movie where the
we
sister took her out and she
we
walked into a punch in the face.
girl, we dropped her back off at home at the corner, and then I didn't even know she go in the house with no panties on. I said, girl,
Well, look, here's the sad part of that. Maybe she hadn't had a hand put on her in a while, and maybe she wanted his attention. Maybe she wanted to show him I could have somebody else. All your regular thoughts are still going on in this space. I've watched the shit happen where you like,
Mhm.
are you really trying to make this nigga jealous? Knowing that if you make him, don't even make his bacon right, he gonna do X, Y, and Z, and you gonna try to make him know that another man do want me. Did you really just say that? We're going to 911 tonight. Like, why did you do that?
Yeah. Even
Because
go to
it
the park
was.
and sit at the park for 9 hours so he'll think you out with somebody, and then come home
Yes.
to fight just because you really wasn't nowhere.
Nowhere at all. You took your
Mm.
panties off and they in your purse. You ain't did nothing. Your little tutu
You
ain't
ain't
been
doing
touched at all.
nothing. Mhm.
My goodness, it's just so many layers. But yes, when a person seeks to understand, that's what I want to talk about in the next one. The things you shouldn't do as a supporter or as somebody that has been confided in. And that's a really tough space to be in when
Mhm.
you're the person that's being confided in, because in your mind, you can put on your cape. You don't have to deal with this shit. Just come stay with me. They can't get to you anymore. I'll help you with the kids. I'll do every single thing from A to B. And you could you could be happy, but you can't.
You can't.
You could have a
And even
mansion with all the money. You
the
can't.
cape doesn't. The only person that wears the cape is them. They have the power. All the
Mhm.
power is in the victim. All the power. They have all the power. They wear the cape. They decide when they want to leave. They decide when they've had enough. And that's why I say sometimes we are meant to go through things. Because I do work with a lot of young girls that are going through it. And on Monday, when I go to work, I'm guaranteed to see 3 or 4 black eyes. And
Well, from
it's
over the
just,
weekend.
mhm, it's just mumbled about. It's nobody. One girl asked me, "Well, how does everybody know my business?" And I said, "Well,
We
look
can
at your
see.
face." And she said, "Oh." And
She
she's
didn't think
down here
anybody
by
could see
herself. She
her.
has no family here. Um,
Oh,
they have no family here. They're both here together. So it's kind of like I'm stuck down here with him. I have no one. The stories, they have so many stories that you can't judge. You can't be that, I call it the big sister role you play. You can't be auntie. You just have to be, when you need me, I'm gonna be here. And I understand.
you almost have to just be on autopilot. So is that's what we'll talk about. And so the next show, guys, we'll either do um if Tan and Mr. can come on, then that's
Okay.
the show that we will do on Thursday or Tuesday. Which day are you looking at?
Let me talk to him and see.
Okay. And then my next show about this is going to be the things you should do as a supporter. So I want to try to have somebody on with me that has gone through it with somebody. So we can discuss the things that are healthy, because my cousin is right. You almost have to go into autopilot, because the reality is, no, you don't agree with it. Yes, you want to save them. Yes, you offered it to them, while you're thinking that people may judge you because now you're involved, and they may say, well, why you didn't do this or that? And you can't tell the person's business because you've been confided in. But the reality is
Hmm.
you did. So what are the things you can do? And it's fair for you to say if you can't deal with it. If you can't deal with it, I know people that have separated from people because they're like, I can't take this. I can't take being worried about you, wondering these things, being called in the middle of the night. It's too much on me. Because when you're fine, because again, you got it out of the way. Now you know you okay for 6 months or whatever it is. In those 6 months, I'm worried about you every day that you won't be here. I can't do it. Then you have
Hmm.
people that's like, just call me and you need it. They'll meet you there, get you a hotel room. They'll walk in, get you the key and leave, because you already know on autopilot, no matter what, I'm going to be there. This is how I'm going to be there. It's okay for you to step back as the supporter of the victim and decide how you can help in a healthy way for you, because all of those things are needed. I'm pretty sure you've gotten calls in the middle of the night, even outside of being a victim. I'm sure you've heard the stories of your homegirl telling you, your cousin telling you, you like, what? Because all of us would never. Don't ever say what you won't do. Just say
Don't
you
ever
hope
say what
you
you won't do.
don't. Because some are hostages in their situation. They really tell them things like, I will unalive the kids, or, these movies ain't made up out of nowhere. Somebody has lived a particular movie that we see and we're like, that was too much. That's been somebody's real life. And it's sad.
Yep.
So they're not staying on their own. They stand, and then now they make the best of it. So yeah, you saw them happy at an event. Be happy for that girl, because she got to enjoy that fucking day. That it gets to that. That don't mean she enjoy everything around it. It's horrible. I don't understand. Get y'all sons and get y'all daughters. And if you know somebody that's doing it, it's not okay. Nowhere in here did you guys hear me tell Tan it was okay. I told her I understand. But Tan also know not to tell us certain stuff. And people do when they going through stuff. They
Mhm.
know it's not a good. She might have told somebody. I'm pretty sure she did. But I'm not the one. Because if I knew somebody was putting their hands on my cousin, I'm on my way. Because I don't have sense. I 5'4" would not be thinking, you could probably whip my ass. I really don't give a shit. And that's not good either. I don't have sense. Tell the people that can handle it that will help you. Not yes people, and not people like that therapist and that spiritual person that I want them disbarred.
It has been a journey.
I don't want them to
It,
be
it
practicing
and a
anymore.
lesson learned.
Blood of Jesus. So any words you want to say before the next show, cousin? Anything you want to leave us with for somebody that is maybe not noticing that they're aggressor, or what advice you would give to a person who becomes an aggressor?
Oh, I don't know. I've
What advice would you give
recognized,
yourself?
recognize, um, recognize, love yourself, and healing comes from within. You have to heal from within first. I'm only saying that because, and let me say that this last part, therapists are people too. And we don't know what a therapist has been through in their lives. That's their career. When we're going to see a therapist, that's their job. These are our lives that we're confiding in them. So healing comes from within. Mental health is from within. And the way I was raised, and you can believe in whatever God that you choose to serve, but God is the ultimate healer. And that's where it begins.
Yep. You can't rewrite what happened, but you can certainly reclaim your future. And
Mm-hmm.
yes, that doesn't mean, again, from one day to the next, it will all be over. You might be doing very well, and then that thing you never knew would trigger you triggers you. Think about that in your healing too. What you will do if this happens, kind of like an evacuation plan, planning in advance. That way, you're realistic with yourself. You offer yourself some grace and you provide yourself solutions, because it's going to come. That thing is going to come, and it could be a word, it could be a song, it could be anything, and what you're going to do in that space. Any last words from you, Ro, before we conclude the show? Off mute. Okay, go
Yeah.
ahead.
No, I don't have
No. Okay. Well, I hope we can get both of them on the show. That would be great. Of course, with something like this, I would speak to them in advance, because I would want to hear what he is comfortable with, what he does not want to talk about,
right.
because our shows are live, but I literally keep my tablet right here. And if anybody tells me they don't want to talk about something, I share that between myself and the co-host. And then I make sure if any questions come up that are within those parameters, I don't um, acknowledge them. I say they respectfully would not like to speak about those things. I'm not one of those, I'm planning on going viral by doing some weird shit that doesn't make sense to me. So no, I don't do those things. So I will speak to them in advance. It will be a safe space for both. Um, and then we'll go from there. So I will let everybody know when that show is. Um, and then for me, like I said, my show on Thursday, if they don't pick that day, is going to be on what to do as the support system for somebody who is going through domestic violence, and the things that you can do to ensure they are safe, because that is a very unsafe space. One wrong move and you can mess it up really bad, and you think that you're doing what's necessary. So I'll go ahead and talk about that. So thank you for joining. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share. And you can also share clips. So if there's a favorite part that you like, clip it out and share it. That way people get the nuggets that they need. I will be back on Thursday at 7 p.m. for our next topic. And visit Amazon to get one of my healing coloring books. Have a good evening. Good night.